How is biodiversity affected by the various supply chains?
So food production is the biggest driver of biodiversity change on the planet. Agriculture takes up a huge amount of space on land, and also so does animal pasture. About a third of our land surface is devoted to animal pasture. In addition, in the seas, we are fishing those radically as well. And we also have climate change affecting ocean acidification. So biodiversity, the biggest impact is agriculture and food production. But I'd also like to point to the positive that done well, fisheries and agriculture and animal production can all be part of stewarding our natural biodiversity, as well as our agrobiodiversity, the diversity of crops and animals and their wild relatives.
When you say it's done well, what would that look like in practice?
So there are a number of practices that we can put in place to keep nature and agricultural systems in balance. So a lot of these revolve around landscape and water management. You will have heard of sparing and sharing approaches, where we have different mixes of wild biodiversity coupled with production. Other things we can think about are around soil management, around rotations, things like conservation agriculture that keep a cover of mulch over fields. We can be looking at a whole range also of diversification in what we eat, our use of wild foods, and so on.
For the individual person, how can our diets impact biodiversity?
So for most of us, we eat a very limited diet, and we also eat, for those of us in the West, a meat-heavy diet, which is not only impactful on biodiversity in nature, but also is impactful on our health. In the EAT-Lancet Commission, we asked the question of whether it would be possible to feed our expected population in 2050 of somewhere around 10 million people. Could we feed all of those people a really healthy diet and at the same time stay within planetary boundaries, including boundaries of not having any more biodiversity loss, not having any more extinctions? What we found, the great news, is that that is possible. We then also went into how it would be possible, and we can see that we need changes on three fronts. So one is our agricultural practices and how we manage agricultural landscapes and the systems, the growing systems for animals and for plants. The second is around food waste, and we know this, that we need to reduce waste, particularly among consumers and retailers, but also at the farming end of the system. And thirdly, and actually most importantly, it's around what we eat. So we don't need to eliminate any foods from our diets. We can all eat what is culturally appropriate where we live and for our family, but we're looking at a better balance. So it's more plants in the diet, more vegetables and nuts and fruits. And for most of us, particularly in the West, a little bit less on the red meat side or the dairy side and so on.
If you had one call to action or key message for the average consumer, what would that be?
The message would be think about your diet. So think about the diversity of what you're eating, think about the balance between plants and animals, think about increasing the amount of plant foods in your diets, and also about the diversity. People talk about rainbow eating. So think about that breadth of colors and different types of things that you're eating each day. It should really be about pleasure, not punishment, dietary change.